We don't know who he was, where he came from, or where he went.
Hi folks, it's Ryan Burns, and this is the first of a new series of videos where I'm going to be focusing on several questions that Cooper researchers desperately need answers to. If we knew these answers with absolute certainty, it would significantly improve our ability to narrow the suspect field and give us a better understanding of the hijacker's profile and his background. The first of these questions that I'm going to focus on is Cooper's knowledge, or the lack thereof, about the way that the aft stairs were lowered. There is an assumption out there among researchers that Cooper understood the 727's capabilities very well. We assumed that he must have known that the stairs could lower while in flight, otherwise his entire heist would have failed and he'd have been trapped in an aluminum jail cell. But is our assumption correct? Did Cooper really know the Boeing 727 that well? I've isolated one incident in the hijacking that could greatly inform us one way or the other about that question. Shortly before they took off from Seattle, Cooper had demanded that they take off with the aft stairs already in their lowered position. Paul Soderlund, director of flight operations for Northwest Airlines, told the pilots that Cooper's demand was an impossibility. He said you can't take off with the aft stairs lowered because if you did so, the stairs would be crushed against the runway as the butt of the aircraft went down when the nose went up. When Tina informed Cooper that the pilots were claiming they couldn't take off with the stairs down, he grumbled something in response. But what was his response exactly? Well, that's the burning question that we need the answer to because, unfortunately, we have the FBI reporting Cooper's response to Tina in two very, very different ways. So which response is accurate? But before I dive into that, I think it's important that we first understand how the FBI conducted their interviews back then. Much to the eternal frustration of Cooper sleuths decades later, the FBI did not audio record interviews. Instead, they relied on handwritten notes that they would later dictate to a secretary who would type it up into what's called a 302. These dictation sessions following an interview sometimes wouldn't occur for days after the interview itself. So with that in mind, let's go back to what Cooper told Tina, or may have told Tina. On December 1st and December 2nd, Tina was interviewed by FBI agents out of Philadelphia. Tina was born and raised outside Philly and was back home visiting her family after the incident. According to the official FBI 302 from this Philadelphia interview, when she informed Cooper that they couldn't take off with the stairs down, he responded,
"Yes, they can, but the cockpit can put it down after they get airborne."
Well, if that's what Cooper actually said, then there is no way Cooper was actually very familiar with how a 727 operated. The only way those aft stairs could be lowered from within the aircraft was with a lever located near the rear bulkhead door. It operated like a gear shift on a car, and it was quite simple. Push down the button and move the lever one way to open it up, and another way to close it. The cockpit could not control the aft stairs. So, if in fact Cooper said the cockpit can put it down after they get airborne, then that is an easy indication that he did not know the 727 at all, and that he definitely was not a 727 pilot, as some have speculated. This could, however, be a clue that he was involved in military cargo drops. The most ubiquitous cargo dropping aircraft of that era was the C-130, and its lower ramp could indeed be lowered from the cockpit. Perhaps it wasn't experience with the 727 that led him to have faith that the stairs could be lowered in flight, but rather an understanding of the physics of how aircraft work when they are unpressurized. If an aircraft is flying unpressurized, then there's no reason to assume that the stairs could not be lowered in flight like the C-130.
Okay then, Ryan, that does seem like a logical deduction on your part, but how sure are you that I actually said that to the stewardess?
Yes indeed, Mr. Cooper, because we have another document coming from that same interview with Tina, where the FBI wrote your response in a completely different way. Remember how I said that agents handwrote notes from interviews and then dictated these days later? Well, with the Cooper investigation being such a pressing concern for the FBI in the first week after the hijacking, the agents who interviewed Tina in Philly gave the case agents in Seattle a call right after the interview. And what they said is quite different than what ended up in the 302 a few days later. On this phone call, they said that when Tina informed Cooper that they could not take off with the stairs lowered, he muttered,
"Yes, you can, but..." That's all right. We can lower it later.
Do you see why knowing what Cooper actually said could make such a huge difference? Are we supposed to believe that he erroneously thought that the cockpit could lower it, which eliminates any suspect who actually knew the 727? Or do we believe that Cooper correctly knew that he and Tina alone would have to be the ones to lower the stairs? So yeah, in a mystery like this, where every single word matters, this is quite the conundrum.
Good luck, dorks.
Yes, indeed. So here are our two options. Behind door number 1,
Yes, they can, but the cockpit can put it down after they get airborne.
and door number 2.
Yes, you can, but that's all right. We can lower it later.
I don't think this is something that we'll ever know the exact answer to, unfortunately. But if we did know the answer to it, it could significantly impact our profile of Cooper, because if Cooper said that the cockpit can put the stairs down, then that would virtually eliminate anyone with personal experience with the 727, like CIA Air America crew, or commercial airline pilots, or most Boeing engineers. So which of these is to be believed? You guys let me know in the comments what you think. Oh, and before I go, I did want to point out that it is possible to take off with the aft stairs down. In some rather dramatic footage from 1975 during the evacuation of Da Nang at the closing days of the Vietnam War, we can see this 727 taking off with the aft stairs down. Now, one difference, of course, is that the Cooper plane was going to be taking off with the aft stairs lowered in their locked position. Now, of course, this is 1975, so how Cooper could have known this when, in fact, this was the only time this had ever been done in documented history, we can't be sure, but maybe he was just guessing. Anyways, that's the first of my burning questions that I really want to know the answers to. Alright folks, well you know the drill, so like and subscribe and all that YouTubey stuff, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye.